At Lexus, service isn't just a department. It's a voice on the other end of the phone.
A note to say you're on our mind. A willingness to come to you.
The world and how we interact with each other is changing, but that will never change who we are at Lexus.
Now, more than ever, you and your needs come first.
Find out what service options are available in your area at lexus.com/people first.
Click the banner to discover more.
This is No BS Job Search Advice Radio, episode 1794. I'm your host, Jeff Altman, the Big Game Hunter, and welcome to another show. Again, welcome to another show. Next week is episode 1800. I'm going to have some fun for you, and I'll stop singing right now. And today's show is one about case study interviews. The more senior of you rarely run into this, but for those of you who aren't at a senior level, this shows up way too regularly. Hope you find it helpful and hope you give it a great review wherever you listen to the show. And with that, let us get going, okay? I help you perform well in your job search and once you're on board in your new role, helping you perform at a higher level during the search and certainly in your interviews and negotiation. And then once you're on board, I help you do well in your work. Now, I was coaching someone recently, and it's funny how this pattern reoccurs. They've got a case study interview, and they want me to go through a couple of cases with them in a mock interview. And I will tell you that this pattern repeats itself so consistently. It doesn't matter whether you're a junior individual or a senior. I see this happen all the time. So you're presented with a case and a couple of scenarios to it and a number of questions. And you know you have to be specific in answering the questions. You got that part right. But people forget a couple of things. Number one thing they tend to forget is that there's missing information that needs to be gleaned from the interviewer. So in a recent example, they didn't really have a sense of what the team was going to be like that they were going to be leading. You know, how experienced were they? Or were they junior, senior? Had they ever worked with one another? To know whether or not these are a group of renegades that have been tossed into a bucket for this guy to pull together, or whether they're a cohesive team already. There were things that were not in the case study that he should have asked about. And in another scenario, missing information that should have been explored for. When you're in a case interview, part of the way they're evaluating you is to see whether you just go right to dive in the answer, which is the wrong approach, particularly if you're in leadership, because that's demonstrating that you function in the weeds. Now, if you're just graduating and you're going for a junior role, there's an expectation you're going to see things at a certain level. However, if you're more senior, higher level, there's a different perspective that you have from your experience that there's an expectation that you can address. For example, how large is your budget to do this project, right? There's a difference as to what you could accomplish with a budget, certain timelines. Again, there are questions that need to be followed up with before you launch into your answer, that if you just dive in directly, you're going to miss the boat. And even if you guess the answer, they're going to point out that you were missing information, and it's going to prove costly to you.